Hey guys, first of all, I just wanted to say that I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy during this time. With my time at home, I was able to make this video inspired by Taylor Jackson on YouTube. He's a phenomenal photographer with a lot of behind the scenes footage if you want to watch him. But my name is Abby Segan and I'm a photographer and graphic designer. And just recently, before all the corona stuff happened, I was able to help Ashley Donahue at a wedding at the Glassy Cliffs as her second shooter, meaning I was basically her assistant. I just helped her wherever I could, and I was just shooting little details here and there. But anyway, I've never been a second shooter before. I have been a primary in the past for a couple of weddings, but this was a different role with different lessons learned, and hopefully you can learn alongside with me. I do want to say that I'm really sorry that the quality of the footage may not be the best. I just don't really understand my GoPro, and maybe it's just old, but maybe I just don't know. That's probably it. Let me know if you can help me with that. And then if you have any questions or comments, if you realize that something I say doesn't really add up, I'm not a very technical photographer, so maybe I just made a mistake somewhere. Please let me know kindly, and if you have any comments, just leave them down below, or questions even. But yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy this video. So I arrived at the cliffs at least 15 minutes beforehand. I would have been there earlier, but I got lost. Oops. For this wedding, I wore a black jumpsuit with pockets and ankle boots, what I usually wear at weddings because it's safe and professional, but it really just depends on you and the couple. The whole half day, I used my Nikon D750 with a 24 to 70mm lens and nothing else. As you'll see, most of my angles are from the sides or of little details that may be missed since Ashley was already getting the main angle. For this specific bridal shot, I went to the other side to make sure that I would angle myself away from the parking lot. So while the bridesmaids went back to get dressed, Ashley asked me to photograph the groom opening the bride's gift all by myself. Really had to think on the fly on this one since I've never been there before, and I was a little nervous since I've never actually met any of them. But it was all good. I quickly scouted outside and found great lighting. After that, there was some waiting time, so I took a few photos of just the girls. And then we were finally ready for the bride's first look with her best friends.
Yep.
For the first look, Ashley had the girls turn towards the golf course while she got Peyton, the bride, out of the bridal lounge. I made sure to position myself out of Ashley's frame while getting the bride's reaction as her besties turned around. And then I did a quick swivel to make sure I'd get the girls. Besides taking pictures, as a second shooter, you're basically acting as the photographer's assistant. You help scout, give a second opinion, make them feel at ease, call on people, ask where people are, or in this case, make sure the flowers are dry. That was a really good tip for me because you wouldn't want to Photoshop wet stains later. Definitely have done that before. Now, I feel like you can't really go wrong with a venue like this. There's just green everywhere. And it was also cloudy, meaning we didn't have to worry about harsh lighting or weird shadows at all. Well, Ashley finished up with the girls in her dad's first look. I let the guys' groomsmen know that they were up next, and then Ashley went ahead and sent me to the chapel. There, I made sure to get details of everything. Most of the time, the couple is so busy throughout the day, they don't even get to appreciate all the touches everyone put into their day. But photos do help. Photographing the program also helps you calculate when everything falls during the ceremony so you'll know where to stand exactly. So right here I was creeping on some people, no big deal. But whenever I do shoot an audience, even if it's a school event, I do get intimidated, but I always remember it's my job, I have the camera, they'll understand. I did get mostly candids, but I'd suggest coaching enough courage to shoot more camera-aware shots. Alright, so after the pre-wedding jitters, it's now ceremony time! Ashley had me positioned to get the wider angle in the back and the sides, while she stayed up front. For the processional, I was at the left of the chapel, angled towards the entryway, but for the main ceremony, I was mainly in the middle.
As you can see, the subjects are very backlit with all the windows, meaning the main source of light is behind what's being photographed, giving a glowing effect around, which could turn out bad. To solve this issue, you could use either a flash to illuminate the subjects, but we chose the natural light approach, and I just did my best to expose for the correct things. For ceremonies, I usually like shooting with a 70 to 200 millimeter to get tight shots, but I didn't get one for this wedding, so I just played around with different lines of vision. The first shot is at my normal 5'2" Abbey height, and then the second one shows more of the ceiling. So I pretty much stayed in the back, but I also went to the sides, and I really liked these pillars because they hid me and made sure I wasn't a distraction, and they also gave a good foreground blur. After the ceremony, I actually went and photographed the guests outside with a view while Ashley did the family photos inside the chapel. Before moving everyone outside, Ashley looked for the perfect backdrop. And because the sun had come out, she planned to use the Peter Pan shadow trick, meaning positioning the subjects so that they're backlit again with their shadows in front of them. That's the trick for even lighting and no squinting if there's no shade from a tree or a building. Right here, I really liked how Ashley tapped every other person to switch people around. Everyone was pretty much the same height, but it was clever that she didn't have to remember everybody's names. So I did switch on over to this side just because I wanted more of the sky versus the rock background. And as far as poses, it's always more fun to capture action, so we did a lot of walking, a lot of bear hugs or tackles, and a lot of fist pumps and cheering. And then we were finally at the finale, the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs., him and her. Where this falls in the timeline really depends on whether the couple wants more photos of themselves or more with their friends. Some have it before the ceremony since they've already had their first look, but I think saving it for afterwards is also so sweet. But you do have to make sure you account for the waiting party. Okay, let me just say that this couple was pretty much perfect and flawless. The whole bridal party was. Such naturals, and there was so much love. It was a treat that Peyton also had a veil for some photos at the end. I love those kind of pictures so much. The girls were disappointed that they weren't part of the picture, so I did snap one of them. If you have a veil, you have to get the under the veil shot. Like, it's just begging for you to do it. But I was helping Ashley hold it, so I didn't get one underneath, but I did get this one from the outside perspective. We were pretty much done, but since we had some time left, Ashley had the idea of getting one last picture at a different spot. Because of possible time restraints, you definitely don't want to move around too much, but you should also take some opportunities if they present themselves. And doing this, you also want to make sure that the dress stays clean and poofy the entire time.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you learned something from it. But before you go, I do want to talk about some things that I learned that I wasn't able to share in the footage. I have everything on my phone, so don't mind me as I look down. But the first thing is that I wanted to say that I didn't stay for the whole reception, for the whole wedding day, just because the reception was an hour away, and Ashley didn't need me anymore, so I ended up leaving. If you're curious about how I got my images to her, my camera actually has 2 slots for my SD card and for her SD card, and what ended up happening is my camera was set to deliver all the images I took to each SD card. And then one thing I also learned is that if you can have a bridal portraiture time set aside on a different day, do it, because it really eases the day and helps the flow run a little bit smoother. You don't have to worry about all the different kinds of portraits throughout the day because you've already done one major portrait a different day. And also the bride can practice on her hair, practice her makeup, try on her dress, and just feel like a princess for more than one day. I also wish that I had asked the bridal party to look at me more. There were some points when Ashley would take behind the scenes footage for her Instagram, and I wish that they looked at me so that I could use that for my portfolio. I guess as a primary shooter in the past, I had never had to worry about that because they were always looking at me. I was a photographer. But for this one, I just wish that I could have just taken some pictures where they're looking at me so that I could use it for my portfolio, which was also another nice thing. Ashley did let me, or is letting me, use my images for my own portfolio. So that's something that you should ask your primary shooter first. And then last but not the least, is it necessary to have a second shooter? I would say that if you're a bride with a big wedding, you should hire a second shooter just so that you can get all the memories throughout the day, and your primary photographer will be more at ease and doesn't have to like run around when they have more important things to think about. But if you're a bride who can't afford, don't worry about it. Your primary shooter should be a great one, and they'll be able to capture most, if not all of the memories. But if you can't afford one, then get a second shooter, because then that really helps the main photographer. It's just nice to be able to talk to another creative and talk about lighting, talk about location. It just puts everyone at ease, as I said. But hopefully all of these tips and things that I learned will help you. Just let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and I'll also link Ashley's Instagram somewhere. I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure that out. But yeah, alright, take care, bye.